Justice for all. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Happy Friday. Who's happy that it's Friday? All right, the prayer for the day will be offered by the wonderful delegate from Calvert and Prince George's counties. Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Shall we bow our heads and pray? Gracious and eternal and wise God, we first approach you thanking you for this is the day that you have made, and we make that choice to rejoice and be glad within it. Although there is liquid sunshine outside, we thank you for peace within, because your word says you'll keep us in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you. God, we thank you for how you have blessed us throughout this beginning moments of session. Although intense, although differences, you have allowed us to unite together for one common purpose, to work for all Marylanders. We thank you for our speaker, for how you have blessed her and crowned her with grace and with wisdom. And now I pray, God, for every one of my colleagues, without respect to party, that you would look upon us, lead and guide us in a plain path, walk with us. Your word says you anoint our head with oil. You'll cause our cups to run over, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our life, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Father, we're wrestling against spiritual wickedness in high places. So help us to not respond in the flesh and with carnal weapons. For our weapons are not carnal, but they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself above the knowledge of God. So God, keep us, set a watch upon our lips, help us to walk in purity and integrity and do great for your glory. You get the glory, the honor, and the praise. We pray all these things in that name that's above every name, King of kings, Lord of lords, magnificent, majestic, magnanimous name of God we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Give everyone a second. Don't worry, we'll give you a minute. Everyone is in from the back. Two more, okay. Go ahead. Everyone's in. The clerk will call the roll. There being 122 members present, the House is now in session. The clerk will read the journal from the previous day.
Annapolis, Maryland, February 16, 2026.
I would like to recognize the majority leader. I don't see the deputy majority leader.
So much be considered the reading of the journal.
So order petitions, memorials, and other papers. Introduction of House bills. The clerk will read the bills and their committee assignments.
House Bill 1604, Delegate Kerr, House Rules. House Bill 1605, Delegate Griffith, House Rules. House Bill 1606, Delegate Odom, House Rules. House Bill 1607, Delegate Odom, House Rules. Margaret Sylvia Seeger, Chief Clerk.
Message from the Senate, consent calendar number 6. Senate bills introduced in the House. The clerk will read the first bill and committee assignment.
Senate Bill 37, Senator Simon Ayer, Health.
Recognizing the majority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
So much be considered the reading of Senate Bill 37, be considered the reading for all the bills on the calendar.
Hearing no objection, the bills are read the first time and referred to the appropriate committees. The clerk will read the bond initiatives and the committee assignment.
Introductory House Bond Initiatives number 46, February 20th, 2026, referred to appropriations. Introductory House Bond Initiatives number 47, February 20th, 2026, referred to appropriations. Introductory House Bond Initiatives number 48, February 20th, 2026, referred to appropriations.
Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Okay. The clerk will call the roll. If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 120 members, how did I lose 2 people? Present, the House is still in session. House third reading calendar, number 8. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 146, Environment On-Site Wastewater Systems, Requirements for Inspection and Pumping Services and Implementation Dates.
House Bill number 146 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? I'm recognizing the minority whip.
Thank you,
You're
Madam
welcome.
Speaker. I do have some questions potentially for the floor leader, if there is a floor leader on this
The floor
particular
leader's
bill.
to your left.
To my left. Good to see you, sir. So, in reading this bill, it's my understanding that this would require additional inspections, potentially, I guess the term is flushing, pumping out, well and septic. Is that true if this should pass today?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. What does it cost to inspect a wastewater system at a residential property?
I can only go by my own experience. $300.
Okay. And what does it cost to pump out the system?
And I should say $300 for, again, my home's annual septic inspection. And it would be a few, again, this is just my experience.
Can you
a few
put the
$100.
microphone a little closer?
Oh,
Thank
sure.
you.
My apologies.
It's okay.
With respect to the pump out, a few $100 more. And that happens not every year, but every few years.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for answering those. So I did a little research. I typed into Google, what does it cost to inspect and pump? It's up to $1,000, right? So I got to tell you, I was inspired at the beginning of this legislative session when the minority party and the majority party stood up and said affordability was the most important issue facing Marylanders. Affordability. Also, I've been blessed to now have all the real property issues coming into ECM when we're also constantly addressing affordability, particularly as it pertains to housing. Furthermore, I represent a very large district. Most of my constituents are on well and septic. This bill is adding $1,000 to the cost of housing. That's the net result. You are requiring, in some cases unnecessarily, inspections and pumping of well and septic repeatedly, more so than necessary, and increasing the cost of housing. And it ain't free. It's not free. So either the seller is paying for it and then charging that to the buyer, or the buyer's paying for it. So I got to tell you, I have a hard time voting for a bill that is going to increase the cost of housing, increase the cost of living in our state when we're supposed to be doing things to make Maryland more affordable. This is a bill that makes Maryland unnecessarily more expensive. And for those reasons, I'll be voting against it today. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate the minority whip's comments. I will say that this is really, in the end, a consumer protection bill. If a septic, and again, I know this as someone whose home has a septic system, that if they're not properly maintained, when they fail and you have to have a new system installed, it can be very, very expensive, over $10,000 depending on the size of the system. And then also there's the public health water quality benefits of making sure that systems are properly treated so you don't have leakage into local water. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Recognizing the gentleman from Southern Maryland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Could the floor leader please rise? Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Hey, I had some concerns over this. The last septic system home I sold was actually for a client in Prince George's County. These septic systems can be buried in the ground pretty far. They had to bring in a mini excavator to dig it up. The price was $1,538. I can show you the receipt. So who ultimately is responsible for paying for this?
Well, it would be the owner. Well, in a property transaction, I can't say who is ultimately responsible for that, but for these maintenance inspections, when as specified in the bill, it would be the owner.
So the landlord has to pay for it when a tenant changes over?
If it hasn't been done within 3 years? Within 3 years, yes.
How is it enforced on the tenant to, I can see how it's easily enforced on the sale, but how's it enforced on a tenant to, when a tenant transfers over?
1 second, please. Needed confirmation. There is no specific enforcement in the bill. It could be, if we're talking about a landlord-tenant, the provisions of the bill that govern when a landlord needs to do a septic inspection upon the transfer in tenancy, it could be fall in the realm of a landlord-tenant matter if there isn't compliance.
So let me ask you this question. On a sale, I'm guessing you're requiring having a septic certification at the time of sale, and that's what's the trigger for this. What happens if the house can't be certified for a sale? Like the septic system is not working?
I believe many mortgage companies would not move forward with the sale.
So we're going to lay it on the mortgage company? Because I'm just going to tell you a quick scenario that I had over in Calvert County last spring. It was a house that was a state sale. The septic system failed, and an investor bought the house for cash, and he was obviously going to fix the septic system. But the way this legislation is drafted, that sale couldn't have taken place.
Most mortgage companies already require this.
This is a cash deal. It's not a requirement from a cash deal. So don't lay it on the mortgage company. And plus, I didn't think we really trust big banks around here anyway.
Well, I mean, mortgage companies, this is a secondary issue, but mortgage companies can be of all sizes. But in any case, a septic system is really one of the biggest, if not the biggest, appliance of a household. It makes sense for it to be certified as in good working order for the buyer's sake as well as for the community's sake. Because if it is failing, then we know where the waste is going to go, into the local water system. So
again, can you answer the question though? Because under that scenario I just laid out, septic system is failing, it can't be certified, an investor was willing to come in and risk his money and his capital, buy the house a little bit cheaper, but under this legislation, that sale cannot take place. So broken septic systems will remain broken.
1 second, please. The bill requires inspection and pump out with respect to the requirement that it receive a certification that it is in good working order. That would be in the contract between the buyer and seller.
So you're requiring an inspection and a pump out, but no certification.
Correct, that the inspection is done and the pump out is done.
Okay, last question. Do you feel a slight bit guilty pushing this on to what is really a rural area issue on septic while government is the biggest polluter in the country right now with the Potomac River spill?
One doesn't preclude the other. And,
Okay.
as a homeowner, someone who has a septic system, I want to make sure that that system is functioning.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Floyd. Madam Speaker, on the bill, we'll talk about it, and then in the minority whip was absolutely correct on here. This is yet another bill that will add to the cost of home ownership, whether you rent the property or not, even if you want to sell it. And look, this should be a negotiated item between buyer and seller. There's no reason for government to interject themselves into this transaction, whether that transaction is between the landlord and the tenant or between buyer and seller. This is just another forced cost and adds another layer of government overreach to disrupt the sale. And if we're going to talk about affordability. Look, rural areas have been under attack now for quite some time, septic systems, and I find it a little bit ridiculous because if you're in a rural area, there's a lot of mom and pop landlords. They have 1 or 2 houses. They use it as a strategy to supplement their Social Security while providing housing for other people. And those people are getting gutted out of the market with bills like this. At the same time, we have the largest sewage spill in nation's history happening right now in the Potomac River. For all those reasons, I will be a red on the bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome. Recognizing the gentleman from the Eastern Shore. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam
You're
Speaker.
welcome.
I might have a unique perspective on this because my company, I've probably put 3,000 or 4,000 septic systems in over the last 40 years. And this inspection is not going to do anything to improve a system. As a matter of fact, if a system is working like it should be left alone. And you know, the pumping, we always recommend every 2 to 3 years to pump a system out. Now, if you have the newer systems they're called BATs, you don't really want to pump those out except maybe every 5 years. Now, they have a maintenance that goes along with the newer nitrogen reduction or BAT system. I would not think that this is a good idea to have the systems probed and inspected, especially on the turnover of a tenant. Every time a tenant moves out, I just think it's a terrible idea. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome. Recognizing the other gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Yeah, will the floor leader rise for a quick question or two?
Sure.
Hi. Just a couple things. Do you know how many inspections we do when we sell a home?
How
Inspections on
many
yeah.
state?
Like,
how
do you
many
know how
statewide?
many there are that we actually can provide to our buyers? When
How
a
many
person's buying a home, they actually could do inspections on the house. Do you know how many there are that we give you?
Statewide? No, I don't know the number
There's
of
things
inspectors.
like mechanical, there's chimney inspections, there's pier inspections, pool inspections. There's a whole host of them we offer you to take. And part of the issue with this bill that I have is septic is really, it's an option, as you know, and so is a chimney. You talked about the cost of replacing something. A chimney's not cheap. It's something that can cause serious things if you have damage. We don't require that, and I'm not giving you a suggestion for a bill next year. But it's all part of the negotiation. And when you're buying a house and that septic, my job as a realtor is to inform you of what I think could be an issue. And that's the way it's been. And some people can choose to do these inspections, and that's okay because they're assuming a risk. By putting this bill into effect, I'm going to have to, my seller's going to have to spend at least $1,000, maybe $1,500 to provide something that may be useless, but that cost is now going to be tacked, as the minority whip said, that's going to be tacked onto my side of the sale. So I think when you start meddling in a process that's already working, everybody's informed of this. You're informed of what your rights are when you buy a house and when you're looking at a house, and you go down through that checklist. And I think by doing this, you're just adding an unnecessary cost. But if you're a good realtor and you see a house that has old septic in it, you're advising your customer to actually take a hard look at that because that could be an issue. I just think we're messing with something that's part of the deal. It's, I agree with some parts of it. They do fail. Septics are a big problem. I look at crawl spaces. That's another inspection we do that is really expensive also to actually surplus those or actually get them right. So I would vote against this bill. You're adding a dollar that doesn't have to be. Realtors are already doing the job. If they're decent realtors, they're informing you of your rights. So I'm being red on this bill, and thank you for your time.
Madam Speaker, if I might, in previous septic legislation, we heard stories from buyers who had been told that their septic system was functioning, but guess what? It wasn't. And so only when they had bought the house and they discovered that the system was not working because they can look in their backyard, then they had to replace it. And as you know, it is very expensive to put in a new septic system. And as to the cost, again, my house is probably an average size house. It's not particularly big, not particularly small, but it's very easy for me to find a septic inspector, $300 a year. It used to be about $250. So large houses may require, might have larger costs, but I think getting into the 4 figures at least in my experience, is unusual.
Just,
You going for a third bite?
it's a snippet. It won't be big. I understand what you're saying. I hear it all the time. But if you're going to rely on me telling you the septic's okay, that's one thing if you have a doubt. And that's not necessarily how it goes, because when I sell a home, I'm very aware of what's going on with it. I talk about it, and as a buyer, I get my own listings. They tell me my first two questions: how's your septic? How's your crawl space? And they all say it's perfect. I says, no, that's going to come up at the end. Those are the two biggest things I face every day. So I advise people, but you know what? That's the way I run my business. And that's not saying everybody does it, but I wouldn't rely on somebody's word of mouth when I'm buying something, especially what you just said. It's an expensive piece. It's a big piece. Even with a chimney, I try, if it's a chimney and they're functioning, I tell them, you might want to look at this because that's a big problem. But thank you for the information.
Okay, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Madam Speaker, explain my vote.
Yes, recognizing the gentleman from Eastern Maryland. You're going to explain your vote.
Thank you for letting me explain my vote. I want to thank the committee for adopting an amendment that I brought yesterday. One of the things we've talked about for the past few years as it relates to septic systems is the amount of time it takes from when you realize you have a failed system to actually being able to replace it. And one of the things I think we'd like to hear more from in the rural parts of the state isn't just the inspection part, which I'm inclined to vote for the bill, notwithstanding this point, which is that it takes months to actually get a replacement approved, let alone installed. And so unless we have a better setup with relationship to Department of Health and these health departments to facilitate and speed up the approval and the replacement process, these inspections ultimately fall down the following category: that you have a failed system, but you've blocked your ability to use the property, like an HVAC system that goes up. I mean, I can get an
1 second. 1 minute, please hold on 1 minute. Can we just listen, please? It is hard to get up there, and whether you're defending it or not, and sort of focused. So respectfully, let's listen. Thank you so much.
I was just going to make my final point that when there's an HVAC replacement in the middle of the summertime and you're a landlord, it takes maybe a week to go through and replace an HVAC system. I'm not saying it should take a week to replace a septic system. What I'm saying is that there really is no meaningful timeline when you do that. So with that being said, is this a bill I could have voted for? Yes. Am I concerned that we don't have the other half, which is getting a quick replacement or repair done? I don't think we're quite there yet. And I want to thank the committee again for adopting the amendment.
All right, has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk would take the call. There being 93 votes in the affirmative and 36 votes in the negative, House Bill number 146, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 220, Environment, Water, Individual Submeters.
House Bill 220 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
welcome.
I have a couple questions before I am able to vote on this bill. Could somebody, the floor leader, rise, please?
Recognizing the floor leader. Good
Thank
morning.
you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, Delegate.
Good morning. Thank you. So on page 3 of the bill, lines 31 and 32, it says that the owner, operator, manager may charge something not exceeding $1 per unit per month to cover administrative costs and billing. Why did you pick $1?
Well, first of all, there are several reasons. One, and the most important one is that if you recall, this legislation mirrors what's already in effect for electric and gas metering. And that's the charge under the current law for electric and gas metering. That's the number one reason. Well, really, that is the reason. It mirrors the law that is already in effect.
When did those go into effect?
Those went into effect. Do we know the answer? That law is 20 years old.
So $1 20 years ago is the same as $1 today? I'm surprised that you didn't consider increasing that. You didn't.
On the electric and gas submetering, people are paying that today. Other states have various different rates. Massachusetts, for example, does not charge an administrative fee. does not allow any charge for an administrative
Well-
fee. So they're all over the map. We just want them to mirror what's in the existing law with respect to electric and gas metering.
Okay, thank you. I would contend that's not good reasoning, but I understand it. Now on page 4, at the bottom, lines 20 and 21, it says unpaid water bills under this section may not be treated as unpaid rent in eviction proceedings. Does that supersede a contract a landlord would have with a tenant?
Delegate, you may recall that when we had the second reader debate on this, that the chair of the committee offered a friendly amendment that struck that provision.
It's not coming up in the reprint, so that has been struck? Because I'm looking at the reprint.
Yes, it has been struck.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. On the bill.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I think there's a universal agreement that we want to try to have more housing available for people. And I think this is, while well-intentioned, going to do the opposite. So for that and other reasons, I will be voting against this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Hartford County. Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wonder if the parliamentarian or somebody can explain. So if that piece has been stricken from the bill, why is it not showing up? And can we still move a bill where it's not showing up?
I'm going to recognize the chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
I can
welcome.
explain. It's because we did it on the floor, so it was a floor amendment. It was a floor amendment, not a committee amendment. When
Okay.
you look at those reprints, that's usually a reprint of the committee amendment. So I think
Okay.
it's a nice little quirk of the floor system that I'm not fully aware of, but it's because we took the minority leader's idea, although it was my amendment, and took it on the floor.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks for explaining.
You're welcome. All right. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 95 votes in the affirmative and 34 votes in the negative, House Bill number 220, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill, please.
House Bill 236, State Athletic Commission, blood testing of contestants, timing.
House Bill 236 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Will the clerk call the roll?
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 130 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 236, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will call the next bill, please.
House Bill 241, Business Occupations and Professions, State Boards and Commissions, Sunset Extensions.
House Bill 241 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 130 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill 241, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill, please.
House Bill 242, Unemployment Insurance, Confidentiality of Information.
Thank you. House Bill 242 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 130 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 242, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 259, Financial Institutions, Maryland Community Investment Venture Fund and Regulation of Entities, revisions.
House Bill 259 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. That's right, Riley. She says you have to record her vote. There being 120 votes in the affirmative and 10 votes in the negative, House Bill number 259, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill, please.
House Bill 308, corporations and associations, principal offices, private mailboxes.
House Bill number 308 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will take the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 120 votes in the affirmative and 2 votes in the negative, House Bill number 308, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Message from the Chief Executive, executive nominations. The clerk will read the message and the committee assignment.
In accordance with Article 2, Section 13 of the Constitution of Maryland, I am pleased to submit the following appointment nominations for confirmation by the Maryland House of Delegates. These individuals bring exceptional knowledge and ability to the offices for which they have been nominated. I am confident they will provide the strength of experience and leadership to instill confidence among all our citizens and ensure we succeed in commitment to leave no Maryland behind. I look forward to your favorable approval of these nominees. Thank you for your assistance and support. Sincerely, Westmore Governor, referred to House Rules.
That ends the work at the desk. Committee announcements, appropriations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
The
welcome.
Appropriations Committee will vote at 12:45, followed by 1 o'clock budget hearings.
Thank you. Economic matters.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Economic Matters Subcommittee Chair meeting at 12:30, followed by 1 p.m. voting session.
Environment and transportation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Environment and Transportation Committee will vote at 12:30.
Government, labor, and elections.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. GLE will have a vote session at 1 p.m.
Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Health Committee will have a voting session 20 minutes after floor.
Judiciary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Judiciary full committee will have a vote session at 1 p.m. and we will have a subcommittee meeting prior to that. And check your emails, please. Subcommittee chair meeting. Check your emails.
Thank you. Ways and Means.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
the
welcome.
Ways and Means Committee will not meet today. Have a great weekend.
Subcommittee announcements. Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Estates and Trust Subcommittee of Judiciary will be meeting at noon today.
Thank you. Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, the Capital Budget Subcommittee will meet on Monday at 3 p.m. in the Appropriations Committee room. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Howard County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Transportation and Environment Subcommittee of Appropriations will meet on Monday at 1 p.m.
Any other subcommittee announcements? Recognizing the delegate from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The day that everybody has been waiting for, Alcohol Day, will take place on Monday at 1 p.m., February 23rd. Look forward to seeing and hearing everybody. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome. Recognizing the Chair of Judiciary.
Good morning, Madam
Good morning.
Speaker. Happy
Let's
Friday.
listen. Go
Happy
ahead.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
I need to make a correction, please. We will be meeting with subcommittee chairs at 1 p.m. today, and the full committee will have a vote session at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County. Subcommittee announcements. We're still on subcommittee announcements. Any other subcommittee announcements? Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Apologies, I'm not used to Monday budget hearings for our subcommittee. The Health and Social Services Subcommittee on Appropriations will be meeting on Monday at 1 p.m. for budget hearings in the joint hearing room. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other subcommittee announcements? Seeing none, we're going to delegation announcements. Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
The Alcoholic Beverages Subcommittee of the Baltimore City Delegation will be meeting virtually at 3:30.
Today? Okay, wonderful. Any other delegation announcements? Seeing none, we're now going to caucus announcements. Any caucus announcements? Recognizing the chair of the Women's Caucus.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, Women's Caucus will have their virtual meeting this coming Monday at 4 p.m. Please expect an email from our executive director as soon as her email is fixed, hopefully
by 1 o'clock today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Recognizing the Vice Chair of the Economic Matters Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the Transit Caucus, I just wanted to remind folks we have our second briefing on Monday at 11, and you should have details in your emails about that. You also should have details in your emails about voting for the bills that we are going to support. So please take a look at that. Get with myself or permission to use delegate's name?
Permission granted.
Or Delegate Fair for more information about weighing in on the bills that we're supporting this year. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Recognizing the Chair of the Veterans Caucus.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Just a reminder to the body that on Monday evening, we will do our annual recognition of the fallen soldiers on Monday evening.
Any other caucus announcements? Recognizing the delegate from Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Fire EMS Coalition, Monday, 4 p.m., second floor of the Senate and on Zoom. And if you're looking for letters of support, please reach out to us so we can help you with those bills. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome. No other caucus announcement. We're now going to personal and guest announcements. Recognizing the delegate and the Chair of the Anne Arundel County delegation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Permission to use delegate's name?
Permission granted.
I'd like to have the colleagues join me today. The Veterans Caucus Chair's birthday, Delegate Mike Rogers. Let's give a round of applause.
Happy birthday. Recognizing the delegate from Charles County and the Vice Chair of the Judiciary Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Madam Speaker, colleagues, today I rise to recognize one of this body's most senior members. Before I ask permission to use the delegate's names, I want to share a little bit about him. First of all, there is only one person who could make this presentation better. The person who has so eloquently introduced this delegate on this floor for the past 15 years. Madam Speaker, permission to wear a delegate's wig.
Permission granted.
Today I would like to recognize the delegate who holds the record for most medium shirts in the history of the Maryland House of Delegates. He also was voted most likely to hog the bench at the Senate gym. He taught us all the phrase dilatory tactics, while probably being a little dilatory himself. He's probably wearing a SpongeBob lined jacket right now. You've seen him shirtless with the governor. You've seen his billboards. You've probably had a bourbon with him. He listens when you need someone to talk to, and he's probably helped you out with your bills. A fierce advocate and an accomplished lawyer. He's probably one of your friends, and I'm lucky to call him mine. To my district mate, my colleague, and my friend, permission to use the delegate's name.
Permission granted.
Happy birthday, Delegate C.T. Wilson.
Very well done. Happy birthday.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's, then I'll come back.
I definitely could not have topped that. However, we do have cake and cupcakes in the back for the birthday boys. So please join us after session for a celebratory cake.
That's very sweet. Recognizing the majority whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, for those that have bills for legislative review for Latino Caucus, it's 1 p.m. Check your emails. It's virtual. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other personal guest announcement? Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to be recorded as a yay for HB 220. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other personal or guest announcements? Seeing none. This is Friday. What do we do on Fridays? All right. Recognizing the protocol chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's Friday. Come on down, you sunshines. Come on. Come on. Come on. Colleagues, haven't they done a fantastic job this week? It's been rough, but they did a fantastic job, and we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts, all of these wonderful delegates. And thank you again for this week. Hope you come back again and do the same thing over again, because I know you're going to do a good job. So thank you all, my wonderful sunshine from your protocol chair. Thank you very much, and have a happy weekend. Friday is Friday. Thank you, Pages. You can be dismissed. Madam Speaker?
Yes.
I'm just going to say this one little thing this time, okay? It's Friday. It's going to be short and sweet. All that needs to come see Protocol Chair in room 205. I sent you a nice little reminder. Look at it on your computers or whatever you look at in your room. I sent you read it. It is so nicely written. And make sure, because I got a surprise for all of you wonderful delegates. Your protocol chair, you know she does a lot of good things. So I want to make sure and remind you again, Madam Speaker, tell them again about the wonderful things they can do for me. I appreciate them. Thank you, and you have a nice weekend.
You too. May I have your attention, please? If you haven't paid your dues, will you be so kind and pay it, and that will be the last time it will be announced? Okay? Thank you so much. All right. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their presence? The clerk will take the call. There being 130 members present, the House is still in session. Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
I move that the House stands recessed until Monday, February 23rd at 8 o'clock p.m., legislative date February 17th.
Have a blessed and safe weekend, everyone.